When we scrapped our menu of 50 items and started selling one of each item, our profit margin tripled in 2 months.
Yeah.
We immediately started making way more money because we were spending way less time doing specialty offers, pleasing every person. Our systems were so much simpler. Producing the items, we were able to streamline everything. We were able to cost analyze every single thing. I started to care because I was like, I'm not saving any of this money. I'm not investing any of this money. What the hell? And it was shocking. It was shocking to see where we were wasting so much money. A lot of it had to do with purchasing organic produce from this guy instead of that guy, whether we got to the pickup at 5 a.m. versus 6 a.m. The difference in fluctuations on a case of apples that was coming in imported rather than the guy from upstate New York. When we started to get granular, we were like, we're literally losing money on the difference in the price of an apple. Because every single juice that we make, everything was fresh at our juice bars. We didn't do any pasteurization. So I had to line item every single piece of produce. And then the really big blow and a major overhaul. After that deep audit of our systems, in my 6th year in business, I was advised by a financial planner to scrap my menu across every single event, pop-up, juice bar. We had food trucks, completely wipe the menu clean and stop selling everything under the sun to please every client out there.
Yes.
And do one juice, one smoothie, one baked good, one salad, one wrap, and one coffee tea item. Just one of each thing. When I tell you I cried real human tears for 3 days at the thought of doing this, because we had built a system where everyone was counting on us to have their specialty item on the menu.
Yeah.
I was like a full-blown people pleaser inside my business. I'm thinking about Joe that works for Marc Jacobs over there coming for his breakfast and being so mad at me and fearing the wrath of single clients all over the city because I knew they were going to be like, what do you mean you're not selling my favorite thing that I pump for every single day? But ladies and gentlemen, when we did this, our profit margin tripled in 2 months. I have been at rock bottom a zillion times. I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. And when you're in business for a long time, you see highs and lows. You take risks. Business is risky. Entrepreneurship is risky. It's not a given. You're not getting a 401k and a W-2. So you are always seeking out onto the horizon for bigger opportunities to grow, increase your income, find that higher ticket client, whatever it is. And when you do that, you take a risk. You risk pitching people. You risk getting vulnerable yourself. So I try to lean into stories of my own life where I have gotten vulnerable, made mistakes, learned from them, pulled myself back up from the horrible being flat on my face and kept going. I think that helps a lot for clients to see that their coach has been and can be vulnerable, and it's a safe space to admit that you're not yet where you want to be, right? Because I think anybody who's been like, yeah, I'm in this. I'll give you an example. One of my amazing clients, she's an accountant. She's been working as freelance as an accountant for literally a decade. She's an expert. She's an actual expert in her field, but she's not really entrepreneurial minded. And so she never set up marketing systems to help bring new clients in and lead them in an automated way to sales, which is how you scale something. You need to have automations in place if you're going to scale. You cannot be personally administering every single sale, right? You can't do it. So she was like, I'm an expert, right? The ego steps in. I'm an expert. I can't join this group of women who are getting vulnerable. I'm 10 years deep here. Will they all be people not on my level? Or do I really want to talk about my finances in front of a bunch of strangers? Or what if I have a real mental or emotional challenge? Is that something I can talk about in group coaching? So I think people don't know if it's going to be the type of container that they can really get their needs met. So for people listening, I am a business strategist, marketing and offer technical strategist. So I help my clients really figure out what is the crown jewel of whatever they do and sell and how they serve people. And then we build technical structures and messaging structures around that deep core purpose-driven reality that they have. So inside their business, there's always going to be one core signature thing that they're going to be best known for because it's aligned with their purpose. We start there. We make sure the offer is marketable, sellable, and then from there we build technical and messaging structures. So that's what I do. But I have a background in a lot of other in-person businesses. I ran a juice bar, a whole chain of a plant-based catering company in New York City for many years. I owned food trucks. So I have a lot of street savvy business skills behind all of it. And my origin starts way back in actually marketing and working for other companies as a marketing and event producer. So that's all just to say that my current business is solely a digital program. I work virtually, so I meet clients in online spaces. I have a coaching program. And what I have found to be right now, red hot moment in 2026, the biggest gap and problem I'm struggling with is that my client, usually women, although I do work with men, entrepreneur, who is a couple of years deep into business and understands that they need an ongoing marketing operation to support lead gen and sales. They know they need it. They're a little bit overwhelmed by the tech stuff. They're a little bit overwhelmed by the marketplace being very crowded and saturated. And they know they need support. They want a guide or a mentor. But number one, people are burnt out on coaching. And number two, they feel overwhelmed by what the tech might look like. And they're afraid to step into a group scenario with this vulnerability. So when people join groups, at first they're like, am I going to have to talk about how I'm struggling and how I'm failing? So I have a client who has not yet hit that $100,000 annual salary. She's ready for it. She's aligned for it. She knows it's coming for her, but she is overwhelmed by the tech, the messaging, right? So in that vulnerable space, she's not like, let me go show everybody in a group, the people that I don't know, how I'm screwing this up. Like, that's kind of where I'm finding a challenge in terms of my marketing my own program. And my solution has just been to be as authentic and vulnerable as possible. And so my responsibility is to tell more stories and show more examples of women overcoming those types of challenges inside my program.
And I love this because this is actually a huge problem, especially for women. We are very much afraid. And I'm going to tell you the reason why, because a lot of us don't realize why we do this or why other women do this. It's because when we walk into a room as entrepreneurs, see everybody else as a potential client. We don't want to share our faults and our flaws and our struggles, because what if Deborah won't work with me? What if she won't work with me later on because she might be a client? So maybe in your marketing, your messaging, we change that around and we say that this is the space where we let go of anybody potentially being your client. You're not being sold to. You don't have to sell to anybody. Come in, be authentic. That's the only way you actually grow and change. I tell people, I'll walk into a room and I'll be like, hey, like, I'm totally struggling. Here's what I'm doing. And then when people talk to me, they're like, how long have you been in business? Well, I've been a struggling entrepreneur for 20 years. I've created so many things that I've struggled with until about 10 years ago, where one of my other businesses just exploded and I did exceptionally well. But it took 20 years of experience really learning this information and understanding it. So I think if you pivot on your messaging, when they see this, that safe space where everybody can talk about it, nobody judges you, that's going to change a lot for the women. And I know you know this, they're going to have huge jumps, because if they can just be open about the fact that they're struggling with this one little thing, mentally, in the mindset, subconsciously, all of it releases. And when everyone's like, oh my God, me too. Then it's even bigger. They're like, oh, okay, people have this too. I'm not the only one. And then they can work on it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because if you think about times in your own life when you've actually had a breakthrough or an aha moment, it's most likely when you set down an emotional or mental burden that was just blocking your flow, blocking your creativity, blocking your ability to see the solution that's right on the other side. 90% of the time, ego-driven block, right? We let our egos really block our flow of creativity and just access to unlimited potential. And it's very common because again, the whole world is now online. Everyone is watching each other on Instagram and this one and that one, and we're always performing for potential clients. It's a really good point. And I will say, I love the idea of putting right in the lead messaging, almost like it's mandatory that you come in with vulnerability. This is the vulnerable space, because the thing is, I know that's what's lurking in the back of their mind, but I'm not putting that in bold face print on my sales page. So I love that suggestion.
Yeah, it makes a difference. And so the thing is, you have to feel safe where you are, or you just can't make the improvements.
Yeah.
Like on Instagram, it's so hard for us women who are entrepreneurs when we're looking at these other women who have businesses, who are renting private jets so they look like they're wealthy. They're living on credit so they can have the Louis Vuitton luggages and the shoes and the clothes and the dressing, all whatever. And I'm sitting here going, I bought a rental property. What did you buy? A couple handbags. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm growing my wealth year over year over year. What do you do with your money? And I think
Yeah.
this is what's happening. It's that TikTok, Instagram age of we see women this way. So we're so afraid to show up and talk because either we'll get judged or we're the oddball out or whatever. And that's, I think, the hardest part for us. And it's holding so many women back in their businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I know a big part of my, I would say struggle, but at this point, just say journey because I'm no
Yeah.
longer struggling with it. It took a long time for me to understand what was part of my own block around finances specifically. And honestly, it was really deep internal young life beliefs that I didn't understand were programmed into the way that I thought about money.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, it really did require me having a bunch of either challenges or failures in hindsight where I would try something and it wouldn't go the way that I thought it was going to go, and not understanding what was going on there. It took me to really step back and look at the data and have a body of data to look at for starters. Like, it took a lot of efforting and experiencing and trying things to realize, okay, I don't even see myself as the person who's going to get that thing. And if you
Yes.
don't see yourself as the person who deserved to receive the 100,000, 200,000, 50,000, $1 million, and you don't see yourself as somebody who's capable of having the capacity to hold that and manage that and disseminate that and use it wisely, if you just aren't in alignment with the future you that has the actual money, then you have a real challenge ahead of you. So I talk to my clients about this all the time. They'll build these gorgeous offers. We'll really vet it. We'll do all the research, market research. We'll do tons of interviews with people. We've got this thing pre-sold and ready to launch to the tune of like 20, 30 grand, right?
Yeah.
Which is amazing if you're a first-time entrepreneur building your first digital offer. At this point, if you know enough about marketing, you can kind of put the pieces in place to have a really good launch, and still they'll just not believe. They won't, I can see it in their eyes. They're like, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And at that point, we have to pause and ask the difficult questions. And it's like, go home and journal for a couple of days, girl. What do you believe about yourself and about the future of your business? If you don't believe you can have this success, you can't change that. I can help
No.
you build all of the structures that are going to make this an inevitable thing. And you just have to walk the steps down this pathway, but I can't make you believe in yourself.
Talked about this on another podcast. It's like the lottery winners where they win the lottery and 6 months later they're poor because they did not have the identity that they were a wealthy person. And I always joke, it's like I could give $1 million to someone tomorrow. It doesn't mean they're going to have 5 million in 2 years. You give me $1 million and probably in 2 years, I'll probably have 5, maybe 7 million with it because I know how to invest it. My identity is baked into that. But if you have an identity of that, I'm really strategic in how I run my businesses, how I grow, what I'm planning for the future, my identity, because my identity is I want to be a time billionaire, right? And I already am living it, but I want to make it even better. And I want my kids to be time billionaires. That's my identity. So you have to live in your identity. So for your clients, it's what's your identity? Because if you can't see yourself making $100,000 a year and what that lifestyle looks like, you actually sabotage every launch. And you'll wonder why your launches aren't doing well. When you get up on the stage and you start talking, we as people subconsciously hear something is wrong. It's out of
Yes.
alignment. There's a disconnect. We don't know what it is. We think you're lying. We feel something, but all it is that you're trying to pitch something you don't believe in. So when I do income jumping with my people, I tell them this: if you can't see yourself going from a $2,000 product to a $7,000 or $10,000 product, we stop right there. Where are you comfortable? Can you do a 5,000? Can you do a 4,000? Because if you don't believe your product's worth that $5, $7, $10,000, no one's going to buy it ever.
Yeah.
Just because you don't believe it.
Yeah, it's really true. I think most people, this is where they really get capped. Their income gets capped. I created a little private podcast. It's called an energetic self-audit. The goal is to help people audit their own belief systems and moving through sort of a step-by-step evaluation of, am I blocking my own self-worth? Am I capping my own income by not believing in it? It's all about raising the vibration to match premium client energy. So as an entrepreneur, you will never escape the need to have new clients coming in and sales being generated. You've got to have your marketing operation in place. And many people get really overwhelmed thinking about identity. Who am I as the person selling this thing? Conversation that we never stop having inside my program. How do I charge for this? The value of something is based on the transformation you deliver, not the amount of time it took.
It's the perception of the person buying it. I go, okay, so do you want to come for 4 days and do it? Or do you want to learn it all in a day and a few hours? If you pay me $100,000 and it takes me 1 hour to solve your problem, but I solved your problem, would you not want it in 1 hour? Or do you want it in 5 days? If you can solve my problem in 1 hour, I'll pay you what you're worth. And this
Yeah.
is where that perception, looking at offers, saying we need to give them stuff. I'll give you more coaching calls, more this, more that. But all you're doing is adding stuff. If you just
Yeah.
make the offer and say, look, I know I can solve your problem. We're making it 6 months because it takes time to implement stuff. You need to get in. We have to do work. But this is not a more information. This is stripping back everything. Let's just get to the most important stuff and you're going to come ahead. I want to hear your take on like how AI has kind of jumped into all this because I know this is what you do consistently
Yeah.
with your clients.
Yeah. So just to reflect on what you just said, I just did a project with a client. She hired me for like a messaging overhaul. She was referred to me because she has an amazing program and it wasn't selling off of her webinars at all. And she had a really good webinar, to be honest with you. I thought it was quite well put together. But the problem was her client is a busy sort of sandwich generation adult who's got kids and a parent who is experiencing early stages of dementia and or neurodegenerative illness and is suddenly they're strapped with this very, very scary bucket of decisions to make that will impact what kind of care their parent gets.
Yeah.
And partly she hired me because I am in an adult care situation. I'm a caregiver for my mom who had a stroke now 5 full years ago. And I've been caring for her for 5 years. It's been a long journey. So I'm kind of an expert in this. And so I was like, yeah, come to me, girl. I got you. So we started looking at her stuff and it was just this onslaught of, it was like bullet points. I was like, I feel like you're attacking me with bullet points. Like there's so much here that is good, but it's packaged in a way that feels like you're telling your client, like, here's a whole bunch of work you can do. And this
Yes.
client does not have a
want more
spare
work.
second. They don't have breath in their lungs.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
need to be told there is a way to relieve you from this existential weight that you are bearing. And it can help you do that. They need to hear stories of people who chose the path where they got the support having results. They do not need a list of deliverables. And so we had to go through and we basically wiped away her entire sales page and webinar and emails and started from scratch and built a vault of stories. She's an emergency room nurse and she has tons of experience and tons of stories and none of them were in her marketing. So we revamped the whole thing and just made it about one transformational story after another of people who didn't make the mistake of not getting the support that they needed and then wind up at this like perilous moment where they've got to make a decision about advanced directives or something and they don't have any idea what they're doing. And the guilt that you live with if you make the wrong decision, it's completely transformed her business to just get rid of the entire information base. Nobody was buying that. Nobody wanted that. What they want is to feel like they're not alone in the struggle. And that's it. They want to feel like there's a path to something better than this, that there's someone to guide them through the trepidatious path, and that they're not alone in that journey, period. And that's all anybody wants with anything that they want. If you want more money, you just want guidance on how to get it and to feel like you're not alone on your journey to get it. If you want love, you just want support and clarity and guidance on how to find love and that you're not alone on the journey to find love. Like that's all we all want. And so marketing is actually quite simple. What is it that your client wants? What is the path between A and B? And how can you help them feel that they're going to get there safely? And so I think AI has completely at this point, in my opinion, just disseminated the online education industry as we once knew it. I think now if you sell a course or anything that is information-based or process-based or systems-based, there is a critical need for personal touch in order for it to seem valuable. So if the coach is present in the container, if the guide or the mentor is in the room with you, that's the value. If you can build a community where people feel supported, connected, and like they're on the journey with other people, that the value of communities has skyrocketed. If you pay attention to School and Circle, I wonder what their actual data looks like. I'd love to get a peek at last year's sales versus what's happening in 26. They're skyrocketing because people are building communities around Friday night barbecue team. Let's all go to the bowling league. It doesn't matter what you sell. If you can build community and partnership and experiential journey, it's worth so much more now because we live in this sort of vapid landscape of AI bots and people don't even know it's real anymore. So if you are a real person and there's a personal touch around your product and service, then I think you have exponential value in 2026. versus what you had even just 1 year ago. I think at this point we've turned the corner.
AI is just so different. And I feel like, because you mentioned if you have a course now and you're running it, the information, what I feel like is there's two types of course people, right? The ones who are just trying to create a course, they don't really know the information. I know Amy Porterfield, she would talk about, oh, you just need to be one step ahead of the people you're teaching. I think that's changed because I can jump onto AI and I can ask it any question. Now, here's where AI kind of differs. I'm extremely knowledgeable in a lot of stuff. So I ask very different questions than someone's like, can you write a marketing page for me? Okay, AI can do that, but it's not a good marketing page, right? You have to know the questions. But for the people who are creating the very basic, here's some information pages and courses, I feel like they're the ones that are hurting the most. The people who have real insightful courses that are different, it's not just information, like you said, adding the community aspect to it.
Yeah.
This is where I get into the income jumping that's effortless, the Time Billionaire status, because doing launching after launching, and you need more staff, more people, more things, trying to get it, more ads.
Yeah.
I think the volume, this mass movement of volume selling these courses is going away. I'll get your opinion too, because I'm wondering if that's the case. That's what I feel. But I think the information has changed. And then you have these really big names, Amy Porterfield, Jenna Kutcher, Stu McLaren, right? I think it's Stu McLaren. All those people, they have a huge, massive audience already. It's like saying some unknown person and the Kardashians, right? The Kardashians, whatever they do, they already have millions and millions of followers. It doesn't matter. They could do whatever and they'll still be successful at this point. So I try not to look at those people just because they've already built it. So whatever they do will work.
Yeah.
But if we look at the smaller people, right? AI has changed who's really going to win in this game. And that's how I perceive it.
Yeah, I honestly think the value of your basic digital low ticket evergreen thing, I don't think it's totally gone, but I think it very much matters how you present and package it. I'll use my own example. I have a $97 digital product course that I created. I created it 2 or 3 years ago. So pre AI, but just barely. And at the time, it was the answer to my problem within my larger coaching program, which is that a lot of people didn't have a really high converting lead magnet. So lead magnets, the idea is that you dangle something out there into the virtual space that's like a right now solution to a very common widespread problem. The best lead magnets, people are actively searching for a solution to something. They're typing into a Google search bar, help me, blah, 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 how do I, whatever. And you are the person who has literally figured out what those search keywords were and then made a product that's like the exact words they're using is the name of your product. You're coming up in SEO searches, you're coming up in the top page of a Google search on that topic. For example, a great example is during the pandemic, there was a woman who really skyrocketed her business because she created a how to take your own professional selfie at home during a pandemic. So for entrepreneurs who are like need professional headshots, she created this whole way to do that at home. We were downloading that freebie, and then she had an incredible baby stepping to her paid strategy call with an incredible, very thoughtful next step to take. And then eventually you're in her program about brand design. When it was a really well done, I loved using her as an example of the perfect ecosystem, but that was a then problem. That product would no longer sell. She's not selling that freebie anymore because we're all back up. I created this amazing little step-by-step. It's a 3-module digital course. It's called the Digital Product Toolkit. And it teaches you creation, design, and then sales messaging so that you have everything you need to launch a high converting lead magnet in 30 days or less. That thing was like flying off the shelves 2 years ago because it was $97. It solves a right now problem that my entire community was having. It was thoughtful. It was well done. If you buy the $97 course, you get put into this private community. It was a Facebook group. And I'm in there answering questions once a week. Yeah. Really great value. So right now, I couldn't sell that thing if I tried. Nobody is looking for a digital course where you have to do anything yourself. Nobody wants to buy anything at all when they could just get that same information for free by typing the right question into AI. Yeah. And so the only reason why it's still valuable for me is because I do have an offer suite and an ecosystem and a business with marketing in place where I can package that in as a value add for bigger sales.
Okay.
So now I can say, I'm your guide, I'm your mentor, come inside my program, and bonus, you get the entire high converting lead magnet course. If you want it, it's there for you. No one is on their own looking for that course and going to buy it. And even at $97, which is a huge steal, they're not. But I can package it as a bonus for something where they get me, because what they want is a guide. They want mentorship. They want my program.
Their knowledge. They want what you have learned over the last 15 years. They want to understand all that nitty gritty. And I think it's coming back down to, I have all this information. Can you help me figure out what to do with it? Like,
Yeah.
because you can AI all sorts of stuff, but then what do you do with it? If you aren't knowledgeable enough, you don't have the experience. Like I always say, I failed so much that I have so much experience. But like, if you don't know what to ask after they say something, how to clarify it, how to make it better, then what do you do with the information? And so I think people are coming in with information overload. And that's where the guide comes in. That's where you
Yeah.
come in, where they're like, can you help me now? What do I do? Or we talked about the identity block.
Yeah.
They don't even know they have an identity problem, but you can see it because you've been there, you understand it, all these little things. I think all of that makes such a difference. So let me ask you, are people still doing a lot of freebies, and are freebies still working?
I think the answer is yes, but I
Okay.
think the game has changed.
Okay. Let's talk
I
about
think it's
that.
even more important that your freebie is pulse. You have to be like the beating pulse of their right now problem for your freebie to work. I'm going to give you my favorite example. My husband and I live in the Catskill Mountains up north of New York City. I still have an apartment in Brooklyn, but we live most of our life now in the wilderness. We built a garden and we call ourselves Google gardeners because we are still very much work in progress, but our goal is to grow all of our food. Yeah. So amazing project. Last year, I'm like, okay, it's year 5 of this garden. It's time. We know the pH balance of the soil is, we've been ignoring it.
Yes.
We know that pH balance matters. We know rotating the crops matters, but we're like, it's too advanced. I'm like, Doug, I think this is the year we look at the pH balance in the soil and actually figure out what the hell is going on in our soil, and maybe buy different soil or maybe put some vitamins in there. He's like, you think we're ready for pH? I'm like, I feel uncomfortable, but I think we have to do it. So I take immediately to the internet, pH balance in the soil in zone 6. That's what I typed in. Instantly, I get a link. It's like Marianne's zone 6 garden tutorial. I'm like, let's go, Marianne. I click the link. She's like, if you're gardening in zone 6, you need to know these things about every single vegetable in your garden's pH balance. And it's like just like a handy, quick little guide. It's a 1-page guide that's tomatoes, pH. It was like everything for our sun, climate, and soil by the vegetable. It was like she read my brain.
Yeah.
And because she had this little handy chart, I gave her my email address and I ran out to the garden and forgot about her. Yeah. The next day, because she had a well-done marketing system, I get the reminder. It's the cue, it's the stories, it's all about her garden and her dog. And now I'm invested in Marianne's life. I'm like, well, her dog's name is Bruce. And now I know about this woman and I'm like, she's my person now.
Yeah.
And then you better believe I bought the very first thing she sold because I trusted her right away because she solved my right now difficult problem that in such a quick win. Yeah. That's a really good example of how, like, when you take the time to really think about what is the predicament that your ideal client is in. And I think that freebies work, to answer your question, if you take the time to really look into your ideal client and niche down a little bit and say, who are they really? Exactly how much money did they make this month? Exactly why are they struggling to go from that price point to the next price point? What is their block? What is that internal dialogue that they're not saying online when they're showing their best face on stories? You know, what are they really thinking, even though they're not showing us? And the best way to know that is to talk to people in your audience and ask them, what are you actually thinking? Ideal client is a moving target. They're evolving too. With the evolution of the industry, with the evolution of price points and marketing, with new solutions coming into the marketplace every single day, the ideas that are going through the head of your ideal client, it's a moving target. So you've got to know what is their new right now level 10 problem that you could be the solution for. And the beautiful thing for anyone listening who's like, but I'm not a designer, but I don't know how to AI is good for, is kicking out these templates and these like prefabricated tools that you can sort of drop your information into and then make it personalized. So nothing can replace you actually knowing what your ideal client needs to hear you say. What is the feeling that they're going for? What is the desire that they're striving for? And how can you show them that you understand not only their struggle, but the pathway to the desire? That's the messaging key. Like, you've got to be able to say, I see you where you're at. I'll meet you where you're at. And here's the next step to where you're going. If you can do that in your messaging, I really think that's where people are like scrambling for your freebie. The game has just changed a little bit. We're no longer just downloading anything, and people do download your free thing and then they just get off your list right away. But if you are right there with the right story and the right message, you can get a lifelong client from it.
I agree. I'm a little different because I utilize AI like crazy. For me, I would have probably gone to chat and I would have been like, here's the problem I'm having. I used chat to get me enough information, and then I went and found the expert to take me to the next level. So I think there's two ways that we can do it. The question really comes down to if you don't want to start with the freebies and you don't want to have to do it, because freebies, I feel like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I
Yeah.
feel like you have to keep adjusting them because everything's changing so fast. So it's like you can't create a freebie once. You almost need 4 or 5 freebies that you're rotating or you're always updating. Maybe not. I guess it would depend on what you sell and do.
Yeah.
But could you also do it in a way where you have just an email list? Hey, just jump on. I go deeper in my email. Is there a way to do this without having to create and actually use a freebie and manage it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So at the end of my foundations group coaching program, there is a module on long form content and the power of lives on a platform on the internet for a long period of time. And it's written and strategically crafted to be relevant for a long time. Now,
Okay.
that could change depending on what you talk about. Like if you're a tech guru, it's a quickly, rapidly evolving situation that you need to be on top of. Like marketing and sales has not changed ever, just the platforms and tools have changed.
Yeah.
So the environment has changed and the what we think is cool and trends have changed, but the concepts behind them are pretty age old. So you can create content in the lane of marketing, for example, that will be relevant 5 years from now still. And the basic way that you connect with an audience member, tell a good story and get them to believe you and trust you, which is the cornerstone of sales, right? Trust and relationships. So that's not changing. How you do it will change. And that's why there's never ending opportunity for making content. But like in your case with a YouTube channel, or in my case, I use my podcast as top of funnel 100%. I built my podcast to speak directly to my ideal client and let her know I'm thinking of her. I'm out here. We're out here doing the work. And here are some tools and some information and some steps that you can take today, right now. Here's a way to think about this. Here's a mindset shift. Here's a little nugget. And I'm just constantly thinking, what did I struggle with 10 years ago that I can have a shorty episode on and pre-selling my offer to them, right? That's my freebie. My freebie is a long form piece of content. At first, that feels overwhelming to produce a show and show up weekly on video. Usually people who are starting their first business are not like, oh, let me go launch a whole show about this business. I just want to be an accountant. I don't want to also have a TV show on that.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you do, what type of long form content is going to serve you. And in that case, I think the bare minimum that you need to have is some type of informational and storytelling mechanism in place, like a weekly newsletter, which is the easiest way to connect with and grow an audience. And that's why I think having a free thing to dangle when you're in a conversation on a Facebook group and you hear someone say, I have no idea what I'm doing with my taxes, and you can just drop your tax strategy checklist, you need to create something that solves a right now problem for the moment, for the people that you want to serve. So that when it happens, when it's time, you're like, oh, my newsletter is all about that. And by the way, I have this checklist if you want to grab it. It's just so easy to send them the link. I think that's where it comes in as a strategy. But then I absolutely love AI as a research tool and as an organizational executive function tool, but not as an author. And I think it's important to realize that it's devaluing your message by the day if we can tell that it was written all by AI and not somewhat by you. I'm for AI. I use it every day, but I don't use it to write my emails. And I will use it to structure ideas, but then I will write my own copy for sales pages, emails, and anything that's message-based because I think people can sniff it out and they feel that it devalues it now if you didn't take the time to personally write it. That's becoming more and more real. Even just in the fall of 2025, it was not an issue. We were like loving the AI emails. I think
some people were so bad. The phrase it always uses, like, but let me tell you, or but you're not wrong.
Yeah,
it had all these key phrases, and I was reading people's copy or I was reading these emails, and I'm like, AI.
Yeah.
You can generate a quick story on AI, but what you're talking about is the heart and soul that comes into it, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows the deep stories that I have, the struggle, the pain, all that comes through it. I will write everything, but typically what I'll do, because sometimes I ramble when I write, I'll have AI just clean it up. But sometimes it takes out feeling. And then I'm like, wait, you just took out the whole point of this email. You just took out that feeling. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So it's like AI doesn't know, it doesn't understand what we're trying to get across. And we're going through this whole conversation of people being afraid to be vulnerable, people afraid to finding their identity, all these things we're talking about. If you have AI strip out all of this, your people can't find you. They don't understand you. This is why I like YouTube and the long form content. I use my podcast and I use YouTube as my long form. So if someone comes up and asks me about something, I have a video because for me, it's all about simplifying everything we do. So
Yeah.
instead of having a ton of stuff, it's like very top of funnel podcast, YouTube, see me, hear me, feel me. Do you resonate with this? Is this for you? Because I'm not selling a course.
Yeah.
I'm selling an experience. And then I have my society. You want to have that identity of a time billionaire, come be with others who have the same identity. We're going to celebrate it and we're going to learn it at the same time, but as friends, not as a coach or a mentor, but friends who are in there who are all doing it. That's it. I have simplified my business. I don't want to be doing a ton of launches. I don't want to be doing all this other stuff, but I feel like you need to have that depth, that feeling, that love, that passion in your copy and what you're writing.
Yeah.
And if you allow AI to take it all out, who are you then?
Yeah. And if for anyone listening who is like, I don't have testimonial stories yet, or I haven't, maybe you've been working with people, but you haven't been capturing the detailed stories or the testimonials. Honestly, it is worth its weight in gold to have an authentic beginning, middle, end story, client story, and testimonial. And so serve somebody for free.
Yeah.
In exchange for a testimonial. Because when we see someone else went before me and did it, and this is how they did it, I have this great template that I use with my clients and myself. It's like, where were they before? Why did they choose you? What did you actually do? What were the results that they got? How can someone else start working with you in that same exact way? That's the actual pattern. And it doesn't matter if you do it in an Instagram carousel or in a video on YouTube, or the format of that can be done in any iteration of content development. Yeah. But the point is, we need to say, Jen started by not having any idea how she was going to sell this offer. We looked at her offer. She hired me because she's seen that I had gotten results from the 10 clients before that were already making more sales. So and this is the package that she purchased from me. And then here's what we did. A, B, C, D. We did this work together. She went from no sales to 10 sales or whatever happened for transformation. Here's a testimonial that she said, here's how you can do that program with me. Click here. That series of information will sell in a free carousel on Instagram because what you're doing is you're illustrating a beginning, middle, and an end. You're telling a story of a real human being who got a real result and said kind words about the working with you, and then you're giving them the button to click. It's like people just need to be guided right to the sale. Yeah. I think that it does help to have the ecosystem behind you, to have those automations in place so that when people do say, yes, I want to be on your mailing list or whatever, that they do get the right messaging in your welcome email. I do think there is some elbow grease and some reps to put in on building a system where they feel like they're just floating right on downstream to the solution. Yeah. And AI, I think, should be used, if it's going to be used, as like a tool to help you save. I love the idea of Time Billionaire. Yeah. That's where AI to me is like your number one asset. Build a personal assistant for your podcast. Have AI go through all your old episodes and spit out a brand new description so that you have a more authentic, like it's great for evaluating things. It's great for executive functional tools. Like, help me strategically think about this so that I'm not bogged down in the bits and pieces. I basically use AI as like a personal business assistant, but I do think we need to be telling our own stories and writing in our own words to the degree possible.
I agree. All right, let me ask you, do you have an exit strategy or an idea on what you want to do at a certain point in business? It doesn't have to be now, but do you want to take your business, grow and expand it? Do you want to shrink it? Do you want to bring someone in to run it? What's your thought about going to the next level with your business?
I love this question. When you just said that, I literally immediately was like on like some beautiful terrace in Portugal. I had the brief flash of me living in a more peaceful life someplace, not in this current situation that I'm in, which is a pretty intensive caregiver role. So I'm currently in a place where I do feel like I'm like, my capacity codes are at max. We're keeping the boat on the water. There's no leaks. Like, we got this. We're going to keep, It's a gift to be a guide at my mother's end of life journey. And so I wouldn't trade it for the world. But I do feel like when you just asked me that question, number one, I feel like there's massive potential for expansion and growth in my business that will come when I am personally capable and have the time and the energy, really. That being said, I have thought a lot about how I could bring in people who I could mentor to teach them everything that I know, so that they can run systems inside my business now even. Yeah. I'm ready for that level of mentoring somebody who has the experience and the skills as well, but who needs to come into a structured, already running operation. And I love the idea of building in space to teach people exactly how I would answer these questions. I know AI can do all that too, but I don't think it replaces human beings.
Yeah.
So having guides and community members who are an online business manager, but more somebody who's being taught the trade of excellent storytelling, excellent coaching skills, what are the mindset shifts and the abundance thoughts that we need to be bringing into every day. A lot of my program is built on this idea of atomic daily habits, very much based on Atomic Habits by James Clear. And the idea that we get compound interest from smart decision making.
Yeah.
And so the reason I teach automations and building funnels and things like that is because you can't really scale a one-to-one operation. Like if you always have to be in the room for it to work, that doesn't scale and it will just eventually really burn you out. And I lived through that in the worst way with my first business. So I come from being completely burnt out. I experienced real business burnout after 14 years of running my wellness operation in New York City. We were making a lot of money. To your story earlier, I don't know if it was offline or on, but you mentioned somebody making $1.5 million and then spending $1 million, right? We got to that point with the juice bar and the whole wellness coaching industry where we were making multi-six figures, approaching 7 figures, making just so much money, hand over fist. And then I literally felt like a sieve that was leaking money. Like I would look around and be like, where is all the money I just made?
Yeah, you're like, I'm poor.
And it took me 5 years before I started getting critically granular about my data. So now people laugh when they see my P&L statement. It's like so hyper specific, but I had this down to every cucumber, every strawberry, every second spent in a coaching program, every ounce of my time, every drop of my money, every disability wage, every paycheck. I had it so granular that I could see exactly where we were leaking all this money. And it was not a fun process.
I was going to say the cost of buying everything shifts because you don't need to keep apples and oranges and strawberries and grapes and whatever else you had to add.
Maca powder and this one and that one.
It's like, it's just this. This is what you get.
You get this or this. And so that was a real wake up call. Like when I stopped trying to please other people, when I stopped worrying about what other people are going to think, when I stopped performing the act of being a savvy business owner and started actually looking at the data, it was like a shocking wake up call to see how much money we were just wasting. So we're making really high revenue, but we are not keeping that money. I'll never forget that moment when we rolled out this new menu and people were like so mad at us. But I had to say, give us a couple of months. We're testing this. We're working with a business advisor. We're not profiting. So you can either have us and have these 5 items or we go away. Would you rather have us here and get your fresh juice every day, but it's the only thing we sell? It wasn't all or nothing, but we had to find out how to be profitable.
No, and
in
I
a sustainable
love that.
way.
It has to be. And so going back to the exit strategy and talking about bringing people in, I have an idea for you.
Oh yeah, shoot.
Okay. What if you did a certification program? Because I'm big on income jumping. This is income jumping. Just sharing it again is that you take your business A, which you're doing right now. You pick 1, 2, 3 of the biggest things out of it. And you say, I'm going to move it to business B. And in your case, I wouldn't stop business A because sometimes I tell people you're going to shift out of business A because you're moving. That's what Amy did. She had business A. She took 3 key things out of it. She built business B on top of business A. She income jumped. Now she's no longer doing DCA, but she took the people from DCA who are ready and actually moved them to a next level, charging $20,000 for a 6-month program, making more money, working with higher caliber women, next level, right? But for you, I would keep business A, but I would pick a few elements out of it and I would create a subset business B, which would be your certification program where you're certifying other people on what you do and how you do it. So they could do one of 2 things. They can come in your business and be a certified coach by you to help run your business. And they pay you, by the way, for the certifications. They get certified and they can go run their business similar to what you do. And you're part of a structure. They're underneath you. So when they go and they sell, you're that brand on top, but I'm certified by her. So I know what we're doing. And you make a lot of money. That's a really cool next level. And in terms of the exit strategy, you can use this to step back a little if you want, right? And have them run different aspects of it if you want, or you could just bring in a crew if you don't want to do certification. I just look at the money, right? I'm like, you can make money from them on the certification and still be making money in the business, which is kind of cool. Or you could just bring in a crew that runs everything for you and you step back completely, because being a time billionaire is all about being on that terrace, right? In the bikini, but instead of the computer, you have a cocktail and you're just enjoying and you're relaxing, right? Being a time billionaire is actually enjoying the free moments you have,
Yeah.
letting go of the work and being present in the moment. Like when you're gardening, you don't want to be like, oh, hold on, I got to answer this email. Okay, garden. Oh, hold on, I got to respond to this. You don't want to do that. When you're gardening, you want to be fully present. You want to look at the soil. You want to enjoy that moment because when you get older, those are the moments that matter. Not
Yeah.
the work, not the effort, not everything else, but pricing it at the right price point where you don't need hundreds of people every year, just a handful of people to give you a bump in your income so that
Mm-hmm.
you can hire different people or structure things a little bit differently if you wanted to, and you're planning your exit, right? Whatever
Yeah,
that
no, I
looks like
love
for
that.
you.
Yeah, no, I love that because like, I do think about what happens to all of this content, what happens to all of these trainings, what happens to all of this when I'm done,
Yeah.
which will happen, you know?
Okay.
The question for me is, are we leaving something behind that is actually impactful and legacy based? And of
Yeah.
course I want to. And so when I think about building the content that I create, the trainings, the lessons, how do we do this? I'm thinking, what is a timeless lesson that even in 3 years from now, this static video that I created will still be right. It'll still be accurate. It may be a little outdated with tools or platforms, but the message is still concrete. It's about connection, authenticity. It's about being brave enough to tell your own story.
Yeah. And then you can take the next level. So, like, income jumping can be 3 jumps to 5 jumps, but maybe your next level is a little bit more of a change. And it's like, well, I already have people certified in my business helping me doing this stuff. I'm going to take that extra cash that I'm making from the certifications and I'm going to expand my property. And like, it's like the next level of it. And now you can shift. So, like, maybe later on, I mean, this could be way down the road, but later on, you're like, my business, this business over here is running really well. I have people managing it. I'm certifying people. More people are out there spreading it, which I love. Now I can focus more on this one and I can grow this and make it something special. And then now I can enjoy the different things that I want on this side, but I'm making twice as much money and I'm enjoying life even more. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, no,
Ecosystem stacking, business stacking, enjoying the life that you have.
I love that so much. It's so timely too to be having this conversation because when I think about why I built this iteration of my business, it was coming out of the pandemic, a deep need for people to have structured step-by-step, clear programs to help them build lead generation and sales structures around their online business. There's like a huge online business boom in 2020. So I started crafting these lessons, everything that's inside my program now, by literally just being like, yeah, let's jump on a Zoom and I'll help you figure that out. Yeah, let's jump on a Zoom and I'll help you figure that out. I think we talked about this inside ECA and Momentum. There were a lot of people who did not have business experience, and I'm coming in with 15 years under my belt. So now I started my business in 2007, was technically the original like EIN is registered with the government, like we are
Yeah.
launched. So technically I'm going on 20 years.
Crazy. I love it.
Super proud of that. I'd been doing email marketing and online marketing for years and years. It's how I ran my other business, but teaching that and really just focusing only on mentorship for other entrepreneurs, I found myself in this situation where I was like swimming in a sea of people with amazing talent, amazing concepts and ideas and creativity and these offers and no business experience.
Yeah.
So they're in this online space like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And so there was a real need for the thing that I created now. And it allowed me to be side by side with my mom while she was going through a major health crisis. So it served the moment I was in, and it currently serves me well because I have quite a lot of time freedom and flexibility. But in terms of scaling, impact, at legacy, and next steps, that does require a new iteration.
Yeah. And I love it. And you're on the path of doing it all. You've done such amazing things. As we approach the end of this podcast, I'd love you to talk about where people can find you, learn more about you, all the good stuff.
I have a podcast. It's called Mindset to Market. And it really is about the challenges of solopreneurship. It's very much about online marketing, but there's other aspects because I do have a background in the real world of business, sales, and done marketing for major companies, organizations. So I have a lot of real world practical experience behind it besides just online business strategy. And so I share a lot of stories on that podcast that I think that are designed to help you overcome basic everyday challenges with online marketing, how to think about how you want to present your work, how to overcome really basic stuff with technology. So, and I have amazing guests on that podcast as well that are very inspiring. So I'd love for you to check out Mindset to Market. That's the best place to get free content with me. My website is deborahcsmith.com. And the two programs that I coach right now, one is a group coaching program. It's called Foundations. And we build inside that. If you don't have clarity on your offer, a lead gen and a sales system that are automated, where you can literally go to sleep at night and wake up to sales in the morning. If you don't have that yet and you're working on that, that's what we do inside Foundations. We lock it down. After Foundations, you can scale. You have something to scale.
Yeah.
Inside Foundations, we answer the hard questions about what is it exactly that I'm selling? How am I talking about it? What are the stories that go along with this? And what are the technical systems that support that? So you have something to scale. Then beyond that, I offer done for you services and done with you services that are at a higher level for entrepreneurs who are launching higher ticket things, who are scaling those foundations. And that's right now, that's one-on-one. So those are the two ways that I work to support my clients. Yeah, but Mindset to Market is an awesome podcast. I'm very proud of it.
We're going to put all the links. So if you're listening to this as a podcast, all the links will be in the show note. If you're watching this on YouTube, everything will be below the video. Go check her out. Go listen to her podcast. Send her a quick note and say hi to her. So Deborah, It was awesome having you on the show. This was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for having me.